Greetings, it's Intuitive Jakob. I am your shaman and cosmic midwife. I'm back. It's Friday something today, and we're gonna take a look at where we left off on the false moon landing that didn't happen, where we actually drew a special box, a tesseract, around the Virgin for the wise art of maybe a nap today, and I'll see you on the inside of that one. Catch you in a sec. See, there's been a pillow fort, and we've been doing a special prayer. Oh, I don't need this right now. I'll put that back on when we have the song. But thank you to those of you that are here with me, wherever you're catching this. Many of you have been live while this is being done for the liftoff in Private Halo 8, where 8 were never hurts for really bad music and sound latency and the cosmic printer to go so well as we have now under a not so mysterious baby gate, where we have expanded the accordion of what the law of attraction never was, what AOL never was, underneath my Art of Love umbrella, and where some of us are proving what it is to have been unleavened. And I'll show you here. You can probably see this on my end, my board, my spirit board. And why is it stuck here? That's very interesting. Oh, time stopped. That's why. So I'm just going to reset this because we actually did a massive reset button on this on Ye Star Day. If you missed that, there are links. Just go back and see what happened, because we pulled some through the new city, which is actually what you see behind me now, and where Vaporwave actually works great with things like RGB. And no, it's saying it can't be reached. Guess they're trying to land on that. Well, it is no problem. I will show you the map. I'll go there first. So, on today, we have a special map. And we're going to talk about the cosmic opportunities and what's actually happening here that the astrologers have not been explaining to you very well, about what it is to be inside the fold and what these kinkunks are, and why it literally looks like origami coming from Chiron and now Poseidon's hand directing what gets sheltered and what gets diametrically opposed. And what it is for us to land in the 555 time window. And those of you that have studied numerological things and know that you're actually in a pentagon, or some would say a pentagram. Some would actually say that the fact that you landed in a circle of skin with 5 points means that you're either a pentagram or a pentacle. You know, like you got coined. And maybe the somebody's idea of what it is to bronze you into a slip, you know, through an ER. Were you ever in a little glass cage as a baby that got nursed through something? Hello, surprise. Some of us weren't actually birthed that way, and this is what we've been following. If you missed that, then you're really going to want to catch up, because I was explaining how the monstrous sea creature was found dead and washed up on the beach, and the changing of water into wine, which is incidentally happening under this moon that I'm reading under, that I'll just show it to you again here. I'll point to this moon. So the time that I open this map up here, you know, we're at 20 degrees Sagittarius, where we're learning about the car, where some of y'all might have been treated like rent-a-centers because somebody got it flipped in reverse, and you might have been renting from an oligarchy for a home, and a house note that swings both ways. Still trying to get this. Yeah, I'm gonna reset my other camera. You know, it's the cam era. Did anybody explain that to you? You want to know what era we're in? We're in the era of the cam, where we've learned sigils so well now that we can go back in what was never time because of plasma and images that were taken out of the sound that's been going on in the sound chamber this whole time. Okay. And what we can do is we can actually create from pixels of light, like what that map was that I showed you. Something that might be more real because it came on a preemptive reel where we could view what was landing before we sent those light coordinates in to help unfold some of the things that are inside of us. So like the blood in my veins is the same plasma in it that's in those screens that you're in, that's in your body. And for some people that read these books and Bibles and ate the things that they were told not to eat, they actually turned themselves into a creature that turned into a monster that basically defecated on itself and ate itself away. It's a special form of candida. We'll call it candida. It's a special kind of cannibalism of energy is what it is. And this is what I've been explaining about. It's been really hectic for me. I've had people literally coming to my house and trying to invade me. I've had people come to try to kill me for this and insist that I write a book with them written in it. And every time that I don't write that book and decide to, kill a tree and print it on paper that we were in there together, something else happens. There's usually been an attempt on my life. And so what I found is if I hold these books up like an accordion, like this one here, and, let's say, when people took the jacket off, Jack E.T. off the cards that were being shuffled, it's like a book comes to life that can say things, take a look. And why I read things like the book of conjures and spells, the Bible very carefully, and why it's wrapped around me, because I know about what urine and Uranus never was. And I also know that it takes a lot of Satoshis to make one Bitcoin. And I've been proving that electricity is actually more like how you elected yourself into a Dead Sea Scroll Rickroll, where we were being cabled. And people were actually placing bets, for interest on what would happen with you when they would jump in. And just jump in all these degrees because they're really good. And so they would abbreviate things like, I use the sigil Art of Love. I actually have a coin that was reverse analyzed and detected on my birth path that I'm proving is where the cryptocurrency gates prove my hashes and stakes and where they tried to kill me personally in the name of Art of Love, which if you collapse it, it's like law of attraction, AOL, as well, like America Online, like the bing-ong, bing-ong, ET phone home. And if you open up the accordion, you can see every place they tried to drop, and it's like degrees on a clock. And so we've been catching them in the act and letting them drop. And that's why I've always been, recommending to those of you that have been here in the Halo with me, thank you so much for what you've been doing. I thank you for, I'm going to go ahead and restart this camera over here too. I'm talking to you because I'm trying to get you another view so you can see these books, and for some reason the landing is getting swooped. But basically what I have learned is that if you are not actually basic, where you can balance your word in that word with the pH of water, it's like a divide through the brain that explodes when we are all in one view, and it actually is as basic as I'm telling you. Because it all has to happen where the water can stay stable. Water is volatile. If you know anything about H2O versus H2O2, like hydrogen peroxide, the lift of that oxygen atom, that is the bomb. And so we're all waking up inside of this thing right now, and it's like if you couldn't really keep it basic and figure out where these degrees were, where we can time it on a clock and even figure out that we landed in the right pod. Like my birth path is actually this house that I'm in right now. I proved it with degrees of my birth. It's actually my birth chart. And so we have data like this to prove where each one of us could land for different truths to come out. and where different data could actually put you in a more advantageous situation just because it's a closer harmonic resonance to what it is that makes you happy. Okay, and so we've been figuring this out, and that's actually what I do with these charts. And oh, here we go. I finally got my camera to work. So I was just trying to set this up so you have another view of where my hands are here too, because I'm working with this book that actually tracks the degrees, and this is what I'm going to be reading to you from, because Elias Lonsdale's good book, Inside Degrees. We're going to talk about these moons, and if you're just joining now, like I said, definitely catch up on where we've been and where we didn't land, because we actually landed within the she-wolf, whose udders were full of milk, where we were in one mothership, okay, that lands at the right coordinates with the right kinds of witnesses, and we're going to see how we actually built a pillow fort around that virgin birth in this chart. And this is what I've been walking you all through. So this is why I'm your shaman. I was actually dead, by the way. That's why my Mercury is actually in the same degree placement here as Pluto, right next to Saturn, you know, the one that dropped here, went underground, and rose up this way with the seed, you know, the mustard pissed off. So what I like is that also at 20 degrees, so good understanding right now at the time that I busted this chart open here to create this, you know, Art of Love chart based on whole signs, where, you know, those little time lapses where I told you, you know, it's like each one of those degrees lands in almost like perfect order here. We see where the moon is here. And I love this because what I've been explaining to some of you all is how gaslighters work and what the hack on energy was, and how gassing the cars has actually been a way for us to ascend through the lather of oil where we didn't get greased into a form or offer a certain kind of wax for beings that couldn't melt in this heat, you know, and take their own form without being parasites and stacking into other beings like parasites do when they take over a body and need a host. And how there might be beings around us that appear to you to be like us that might be hosting lots and lots and lots of that stuff. Like, think about a fractal that just went inside of one being and exploded with like different patterns of other fractals that were all separate beings and entities that were all chaos in one suit. That's basically what just got lifted off. And why there are so many things happening in the house of my life path number. You know, 11 is the Pluto talking as Mercury, because my Mercury is at 20 degrees Pluto, and look what's here. So we've got the MC, the medium, I'm going to call it coiled in, where we're in the center of our destiny at Lucky 13, you know, Friday the 13th. Like, what's that? Maybe today? Today's a Friday where we got a 5 here. And that's reverberating as a 5-5 here. 5-5-5 means go time for you numerology buffs. 13 is like the death sign, where the medium coily says, I coiled my way in and I might have bounced my way up. And we might have all been, you know, unleavened like the bread in what Libra knows about sigils. Like, well, here, I'll try to get this up here so you can see it. Drop this down a little bit. That ought to help. So this symbol here, because nothing, no Sagittarius moon, and we proved this last night, shot through and landed inside to hash its way in for the gems in your eyes, to lock you in some Masonic prison like glass, for a new ear thing, or a way to hear what E.T. was saying about end times, so that they could figure out how to land plants with our energy. You see? So we've got a new discussion going on here, and why solar fire is such an apt name for this software here. We are literally talking about bioenergetic warfare that's been masquerading as medical science and astrology or astronomy to triangulate itself in this witness as chaos, and not get to the crux of it, where you can even see that these images are purely pictogram perfect for this alignment. And why, when the moon goes void, of course, you know, when the moon passes between signs and just hangs in between them, you know, because maybe the moon wasn't there. Maybe we're like in a particle spinner where we have realized what nuclear density is and where all these elements went and what looked like chaos because some beings are going to be blasted off. You know, they wanted to reach for the stars and they forgot that outer space really kind of technically doesn't exist. We've been trying to explain what this hologram is and why some of us landed with more energy in our bodies and can even be mobilized through this. And what the real unleavening is and why some of us had to actually rise through this and why this Sagittarian moon that I was explaining yesterday didn't shoot through somebody's head or try to implant them that way because we weren't landed that way, you see? So basically, I've been walking you through these gates because I was technically dead. I had to walk through the dark tunnels on my own. I was calling for Jesus, Mary, Kuan Yin, Grandma, everybody. Nobody showed up, okay? I had to go through those tunnels myself. And so I don't know if they all stacked into me for this or something for a minute, but I don't claim any of those names. My name is Jakob Alexander Martinez, and I'm very open about who I am that way. I am an ordained minister. I'm a reverend. I'm somebody who was dead and misdiagnosed with something I had to recover from, and I proved something with my blood yesterday. And so now this is where these things are starting to come out, and what the 9 is a lift on the magnet as far as I'm concerned, because I've had to prove that they didn't kill me in a car accident, that I'm not a 24-year-old man that was killed in a car accident, and that they can scout me for the insurance spread on my name. And this is what I've been proving. And so this is what the Bitcoin has been to me and why we have this big magnet here that has a special diametric opposition. You know, this it's a very special opposition that's happening with Saturn. And like what actually gets to call itself, you know, the rye, and what is this thing here over the head on the other side of the membrane that calls itself the sun, where we might realize that we're all Deva and it was a big light bulb explosion, and what LED bulbs might look like is that thing that you woke up in. You're like some kind of LED flower bulb. Yeah, the farmer in the dell. The leaded ones you need. So where are we now? We've got this massive awakening here in the House of 11. You're talking to a not so dead guy with the Pluto cross of Mercury here talking to you as a life path 11, where I see the 5 here going 5, 5, 5. It's now, it's go time. It's the Day of the Dead. It's Friday. This is what we fried for. This is why we have such a close orb between these communications, and why that Sagittarius moon that wanted to plant itself and send some people to try to materialize themselves through fogs to give you a way to embalm more work onto mummies, basically, and wake us up in a bunch of lies. That doesn't get to happen. They don't get to, you know, send themselves in tidal waves and run tests on us like Los Angeles for some abracadabra on factory farming through Hollywood tactics and what fractals actually are, because what we've proven is that in the Big Bang cataclysm, and those of you who remember things like 9/11 and the explosions, these are like black and white fractals that have opened up because of some black box tactics that have happened where we've been naturalized into remembering something that didn't happen, and why there are so many people on hallucinogenics right now in the red dot state that were approved to absorb that chaos mind, and we can prove that it's been going on a wheel the whole time, and time hasn't been happening. We've been getting false aged by new age people trying to land on the moon like that. And so icicles are melting. They didn't send the embalmer at work, you know, to work on us and flip roles so that we could be their living dolls to play with. They didn't fill a terrarium with carnivorous plants to consume us. A tidal wave approaching. Is that like Dorian, you know, like the gray? Oh, I'm in a gray shirt today. That's not me, you know, the one that they can't age right. How old am I? So, you know, is this about a man shearing sheep and trying to aggressively row themselves into those boats for some beast technology? Get a monkey dressed up in a brocade coat and factory mill farm them and see what you can do when you turn them into the military. And scatter those rose petals along a path like petals on the wind in some disgusting V.C. Andrews story where you can capsize your daughter into mini brides. No, they didn't get a monstrous sea creature impregnated that way. They got washed up on the beach and clocked with bitch IP addresses at 0 point in front of me when I open this up and prove that Sagittarius 20, where we are right now, is called the changing of water into wine. If you put an S on it, it might be the swine. And the way that you eat yourselves into that vest if you are not one of mine and failed the Nephilim test, just like the Bible says best. But what we can learn about Sagittarius 20 is why this moon is blocked from going anywhere near the virgin conception at 11, where the twin flame awakening happens and where red and blue can intersect with green help and not explode and consume you by those vicious creatures that just want to consume you and eat your body and false land inside of you and turn you into their surrogate. We actually have a block here that happened, and that's what the baby gate is and why there's this liftoff pattern here in the house of 9, 14 degrees, north node of the, I have to say it this way with close-up, the north node of the moon, you know? So, and that's why it was void, of course. It was blocked. We literally put a stop in it. There's a wrinkle in time. You want to know what a wrinkle in time looks like? It's called a quincunx. It's what we can see here with this weaponry pattern here, and where, you know, Chiron applied a fold like origami on what didn't get written into the time. And so this little moon that wanted to shoot itself this way into the house of Mars and maybe cable itself that way and tie itself up to Jupiter for some luck, and maybe I'll just get lucky and we'll land on this one here. We'll land on that one's head. Someone's like, bitch, please get out. And you get the fork for that. So this is like basic instincts being trained on sound and light frequency, where red and blue can create a purple. Not so secondary. Maybe it takes 2 to make that thing go right. And some things get to be out of sight because they don't belong there, you know, to mix their way into how some of us would procreate and what it even means to be 2, because some of you, we are 2. Look at the red and the blue in your veins here. Now, if you are a bomb that's being twisted by magnets that are opening up now, and those things get tripped up, guess what? It's like nuclear explosion, you're gone. Okay, you hear what I'm saying? So when these things go right and we see where the fold was and we were inside the fold, where none of us got left out like that, and why, if you look at the map here, you can even see where all of this happens between Virgo and Libra. It's like, hey, look what didn't get under these sheets here. They were trying to push up here to stick you in this bottle, because this is a bottle here. False Gemini plan. Some of y'all landed Gemini just right, by the way. You're the perfect Gemini. But nobody got to stuff you in there like that, is what you get to know. Nobody got to split your head open for 2 sides of the moon. That's what Cancer knows, and why this liftoff is here. And what the false infusion is for, you know, the blonde king of the forest. Oh, I'm the king! Just call me the king! Just gets to plant himself in there, you know. Why it's red. Here, somebody got caught red-handed, and that's what these pointers are for actually stealing a woman's work. It was actually in a red purse, and oh, a red purse on per Zeus for the magical sun to take over the world and claim it. Managed to have dessert with a 14-year-old. I'm hearing that's coming out soon. And you've been reversed on that for many reasons. But we see why Mars and Venus and Mercury and the clear light of day, and where the actual center of what was never gravity, but the center of life path, all had to take shape in the House of 11 to prove what never got under those sheets there. Because this is what Libra knows about unleavened things, unleavened bread, things that were not stuffed in to what rose from within and where everything grew. Okay? So now we're going to have a look at what this moon degree actually was, because if we didn't actually draw those boxes, that pillow fort in the fortnight around ourselves is this type of birth on maritime admiralty law, where the sea is safe, then we would have missed, the changing of water into wine. Is this a joke? Here we go. Sagittarius 20, the changing of water into wine. Because, we're reading Sagittarius 20 on this moon. The accustomed round of events, which in this case is a roundup with DARPA, is a setup and a springboard into what we hope to find when we search and strive. The basic circle of common experience is the indispensable container for miracles to be born. The ongoing continuum of life takes through itself the innovative and the visionary and offers the arena for the action to reach across to everybody. The ordinary is ecstatic with promise, fertile with worlds beyond, and almost all of it makes itself felt, gently and intrinsically, enhancing all budding possibilities and a prophetic of a new earth or a new ear thing to be inhabited every day in full sense embrace is ravishingly part of the mix. Well, how about that? See, turning water into wine, all right there. And so what that means is that that's where we opened up, just to expose that sea creature showed itself up dead, washed up. Would have tried to stuff in there. Here's what got swept away, my loves. Poisons, toxins, the refuse of what is incomplete create a stink and a sensation. It is horrible to be rotting away in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it is worse for everybody to know it and nobody to be able to do anything about it. Try the Book of Revelation to see where New Age lands. It's noisy. And it is worse for everybody to know it and nobody to be able to do anything about it. But they tried. Read that Book of Revelation. It's going to be a real prize for them. Each and every inward distortion magnifies itself and takes over the situation. You are getting a great chance to behold every old syndrome played back everywhere in the live action role play that you didn't know was you either. And if you can forgive and move on, all of it will be more than worth it, no matter how sickening it felt at the time. And so this is what they were putting us through. That's your Bitcoin right there. So we've got a liftoff magnet where these assholes literally turn themselves into monsters. There are people that tried to make a card game to even entice me into it called Monsters, where they have bought hashes and stakes on the blockchain to prove that they landed in a box of cards. And now they're like Garbage Pail Kids. It wraps itself off and it's literally like trying to eat a fart trying to eat itself, and it carries itself away into the chaos that never comes here. And this is what we read together in the passage that was never here before for any of us to be safety. Thank you for those of you that are in private Halo 8 with me. So guess what we don't have happen? You hear about those things that are going to happen where the world goes to shit and there's going to be like frogs raining out of the sky. If this asshole that tried to like kill the moon and Mars and like whatever, gas you in the car wrong and lather you and tell you electric, electric rolled, so we can see scroll you and get a good smell on the perfume genius and be Elroy, elongate that musketoony for the earring thing for an Earth landing that never happened to begin with. Don't think so. We've got toads singing at night for those that wanted to shoot through, you know, and shoot for the moon, shoot for the stars, and things that aren't even there, but where the rock propellers go, where we froze it, and why it was a void of course moon at 12:03 p.m., 9:03 a.m., over the life of the virgin plant that didn't get split through the head like that. And so, toad singing at night. This one's great. You're gonna love this one. Here's where it's going, because some of them landed in that monster. The monster sea creature, dead, I'll remind you, land dead, you know, washed up on the beach, and toads singing at night. The toads are gonna be safe. X marks the spot. Plugged into universal currents of energy and awareness, you listen and look toward the collective. What got collected in the roundup? Universal voice and resonance. All right, let's talk about this universe. What's the universe? You mean all these stupid words that people say, the universe wants this for you! The universe wants that for you! What word are you talking about? You want them all? Great. You cast yourself out in them. You're going to get them all. Your law of attraction is perfect. You've soiled yourselves. There's one word that goes in triplicate where all of us were safe, and it's no. Because you got gnosis and you got no means no in there. So take that one as your universal voice and resonance if you're in the safety pot. Because if not, you didn't land in my house of 11. Got it? So you listen and you look toward the collective universal voice and resonance, pervasively sensing how the inner worlds synchronize with the outer worlds. A magical, shamanic realm in all respects, working from the sacred circle and the cone of light. So what is that? The sacred circle and the cone of light. To me, that sounds like the pentacle inside of a circle, and it would prove that most Christians are actually satanic, in my opinion, because they don't understand what they eat and what they landed in if they are Nephilim beings that call themselves Christians that landed in a body that's a pentacle that screams. And what it is to be bought and sold in coin, and how most of us woke up in the part of the dream where somebody was already bought and sold and left in the cold like that with no way to scream or come out of it. And these are the things that I've been waking up for, and this is why we have a baby gate, and why I've been proving that the people that tried to scalp us for things like Bitcoin are actually in a self-created hell that has now been contained. And what we know about X marks the spot. And some of those bookmarks that you all landed with IP addresses matching GPS coordinates in your birth charts to prove that somebody was trying to stick their hand in and land in you, and you don't even know that you were what they call chattel or monsters, darling, and what they got eradicated from, because guess what? They didn't get to shoot that 20-degree dart, that fiery dart, over our way here. I'll show you the map again, because we'd made that crease. Remember, we made that crease, and I explained some of this yesterday, where the fold was, where there was a kick from, Magic Daddy over here playing Poseidon, whatever Neptune knows about a new tune that the pen wrote, because the pen is mighty when it's used to protect, and why that asshole that said, let's go bomb the moon and have more elect Rick rolls for your Dead Sea Scrolls. And just cable you to the moon and put you in those films so we can, be King Elroy and keep Rosie in the can doing all the dishes, man. I'm keeping Leroy. He's my boy. Elroy, you're on the gory. So that 20 degrees, we had a block over here. That's what these squares are for, and that's why there's so many of them here. So, they don't get to do a blackbird singing in the dead of night to try to fly you into a pie and lock you into a bad dream, and songs that scream, where those falling dreams that you think you had can come alive as terrors that now we get to unwrite, because we've underwritten an insurance wrap that caught them on whatever they tried to fly in on, in a close zoom of the camera in your eyes. The cam era is here. So, this is what is going on right now. These are the places where we have chosen to land, either side by side or trying to land with our hand inside of somebody else, calling it the law of attraction. A lot of people got themselves into trouble with me. I can see them because I've opened up my 5D sense as somebody that was dead and can like hear these things. It's made me a certain kind of OCD, you know, where I care about kids and things that like little furry ones even say, especially if they get sick around me, you know. And so I've been hearing things about people. I had to unsubscribe from some shit recently too, going around talking about law of attraction, and it's so grabby. It's like, just throw any word out there. And some of the things that they will tell you to do when you can hear about the designs that they have with other people. I've been hearing about some light worker that a lot of people have been going to, calls himself a light worker, that has been telling people, give me your tired and weary, your cast and your downtrodden stones. And he's joking about it. He comes around like he's joking. He's like, I'm doing a special prayer on the beach, and I see him casting all of these like birth gemstones all over the beach for a sand lotioning on how somebody's going to say that's how you get the nickel to land, and for me to go last and to land them in the can and take over the world for a house of glass, which is actually proven. You guys have been living through your cell phones and scrolling through into the false side of the well if you were on the side with you know who, and I hear that some of you know very well who I'm talking about, somebody that I have no connection to, but that I've had adjacent connections to, because some of those people have had to like jump out of that guy's clutches and like come to me for help with something called energetic hygiene, because we have been unplugging ourselves from the false material realm, where the false landers would try to come and make a joke out of your life too and hang you up like Christmas. So here's what's happening. We figured out a way to take this apart enough where as these magnets are turning, because we had a void of course moon, we boxed everything. It's literally like a tesseract form. The body twists from the inside, and it's like being reborn new from the inside. Like the body is going to start to alchemize the metal and like the death and the things that we've processed in this halo that are actually in this form that don't want to be in that mixture. And so they twist and they mix with some of the other stuff that's in the mixture that works. And the ones that can't be here, it's just like being ripped from your veins, and they actually go propeller style and like land on things that they Christed themselves on. Because in all of these replication patterns where we have a reel where you can actually hear your sound and what you admit that you've done and parts of your life that you probably haven't even realized you lived, where somebody might have been sticking their hand and playing God with you. They claim themselves as God. They got their fingerprints on it. That's what the cameras are for. And now they are being ripped out, and it's like they land on totem poles that are really weird. Sometimes it's a car. Sometimes it's a house. Sometimes it's like one of those big antennas, or the wrong way to do Christmas. And yeah, the cry stings. So, you know, smelt it, you dealt it. That's what I know about gas a car up first, and what Sagittarius is when you go backwards. And I smelt it yesterday when I was coming into my garage. I clicked the button, and I was actually driving my father's Lexus. I pulled it up into the garage, and the first thing I got hit was with the smell, and I was like, that's where it is. And that was the veil to hell. And so it's basically like Hello Kitty land too, because what was on the other side of the omission is a big circle where there's like a dance party that's safe for kids. It's like we all landed in a fractal that was so convoluted that it crunched up together real tight. And it looks like, if you saw it halfway, it might look like we're doing some weird dance together. And we're really not. Everybody's just packed up. It was this tight sample. It's what a petri dish knows, and what these sound codes prove about how we're actually creating a new form of glue. So it's like any forms that were not good, or they were trying to hurt children, or they were like, you know, into things like gang bang, rape, stalking things where, you know, people got hurt in different ways in their view. And for some people, they thought it was benign just watching that kind of pornography and not realizing that their law of attraction spells were putting that on other people, and how they fluffed their ways into the wrong movies. They actually became a certain kind of paste, because there's such little amounts of light in some of these things, and some of them look like they landed really well in the holographic projector. Some of them are living in real nice fancy houses. They look like they have the best life going on, and the truth is they're conjurers. They're the ones that were scraping in the 5D, doing law of attraction stuff and getting their mitts on everything, and not being selective about what they were eating, and maybe taking that, hey, bring me something you don't want anymore, whether it's, you know, something that, some plan that got aborted of yours, you know, some broken crystal baby thing. Bring it to me to crunch on it and eat it and throw it away for you and with you, and we'll build ourselves a world where we're all children of the sun, and we kind of know, I know that one, and you know this one about me, and got your back on that shady way, Well, some of us didn't think that was good enough under this view, and so we took cover, and that's why we're all in this weird little fractal. That's awesome. We're more gone, less of us. It's the moron trick, How many of those does it take to screw it? Right? Where some of us don't go for that tactic. And so, you want to go for it? All right, go for it that way. We got a lift-off magnet here. And then what are these 12 houses? What 12 houses? You mean maybe one house that looked like two, and then they stretched it out like an accordion and tried to land on degrees? And, I'm over here reading you side by side what these degrees actually say. And I'm like, and those are the ones they couldn't even land on. So it's like really stupid. It makes it go away. And as it rips itself apart, even though they might have looked like they landed in all these really good things, there's such a little amount of light, and all that stuff really belongs somewhere else. It's like reappropriation of wealth, the real Robin Hood kind of way, with fractals and BitTorrents and tight technology, because some of us got rude with the rocks that way. So this is what I'm loving. This is what we're being set up for. And it's one of those things that can only happen ever so often. We have to be able to care about things the way that we do. And that's why I'm so lucky that as a non-astrologer guy that just learned how to read this stuff, I've had also other not-astrologers that could read some of this stuff. And we read it. And the real estate after death deal, READ, red rum murder, mortgage on the house. It's like the Rickroll with the mortgage that y'all didn't realize you wrote yourselves into, and why paint chips actually know more than some of these beings do that think they're in that house, that are actually cameras that open up and they're like, hi, here's how you get more of it, because they think they landed real well and they're getting ripped out of those houses. And it's like, thank you for advanced home security. So this is what's happening right now. And today, Friday, September the 6th, when Venus makes its last trine of the year to Pluto, the trine, the Trinity, what are we talking about? What Neptune did, a new tune, and some guy that picked up a pen that was dead, said, I don't know. It's ridiculous to me. This is a live action role play of a parody that goes wrong for every single one of you if we didn't drop in the right way together for a view. So this is the last trine of the year with a Y attached to it, offering a clearer and deeper perspective about relationships and the state of our finances. So as far as I'm concerned, all of the money that I actually proved that I made with this Bitcoin, I didn't give a fuck about it. I was like, here, keep throwing the racket at it. Let's just take over all of the technology, make sure nobody was in a snuff film that didn't want to be in one. If they said they want to be in a snuff film, let them have the abortion that they also claimed that they didn't ever have, where they said, no, we want the abortion, because we actually got them in a triangulation like that where they technically claim themselves as God, and it's like one being the sea monster that cast itself off dead, and we're like, boo. So pass the money around. I'm like, hey, hand out the money. I don't give a shit about it. I want my one eye clean where I know that babies are safe. Because anybody that wanted to claim it that way for me is absolutely done. So as far as I'm concerned, bless you, baby, finances are absolutely dumb. We have a new value system that can be quantified on the delivery of express light coordinates that land in people's forms, where we can take a map like this solar fire and create a bioharness of symmetry, where, the masculine and the feminine energy is intact in the center of the sun, with your medium line in the middle and the communication going right, and nobody trying to plant horns on your head and stuff themselves in there and lock you in a genie bottle. Okay. Where you can kind of pepper, salt shake yourself with a little green and red here that works now, because otherwise that's just brown, which is what dirt is, and chocolate and coffee and things that I like, and why the soil of the earth is actually wonderful, and calling yourself soiled when all you've done is eat shit is probably not appropriate. That means that you got spoiled because all that stuff works really great here when we care about what the coordinates mean and where that stuff that literally was shit actually gets dispersed appropriately, because inside of this bioshield, it actually has created a energetic extraction unit where things like feces and waste all have a protocol that gets lifted off with this magnet, and that's where the fart chasers come in. That's how they kick themselves out forever and where New Age really goes to die with me. So it's like maybe you came up through New Age and metaphysical things like I did. Maybe you came up through all the religions. You know, I came up with a parent that was on a holy mission that dragged me through everything and called me heretic everywhere for asking questions. And another parent who was a scientist who said, all of that stuff is shit, all of it's fake, it's not real, just science. And so I'm like, all right, what do I do with this? I guess I'm the guy that you hung up and died, you know, that way. And so now I'm colored this way, and the hue and the name work, and nobody takes energy out of it for a swinging gate on a house note in the name of Houston house note. No, this is where you get your ass smacked. This is where we learned that the electric that we were being charged for in these meters is the key, and that somebody tried to put it in a car to make a spaceship to go around and round and round and round and round, where they could bibbity boop their way in and call it a moon landing or a Martian landing, or say that they had some memory and naturalize their way in, or give you some documents and write their way into a mortgage to Rick and engage themselves to you till death. I don't think so. So make some angry phone calls if you need to, because if you're not in private at Halo 8 and you couldn't hear this privately with me before I got this up on YouTube, there's a possibility that whoever your legislators are wanted to lip your stockings and pull you in some weird lost in translation time wheel of Babylon and some weird Grecian Spartan trap where they could jump into your body and treat you like that, like some kind of whore. And I'm like, what? Who? Red? The color red? Do you know how many red dots you guys took thinking you jumped on airplanes? You think you've been on airplanes going places? More of you was never here than was here because of quantum particle sprinkles that some people called physics before, that proves that nuclear density is more important, and that every single strand of what you thought was in your body got identified with a dot somewhere. And now think about Umbrella Project, Resident Evil, and what this might actually mean here, now that we have dots, and also the blue laser that you didn't see in that movie when the baby was crying and screaming, and what this green line is here, and how we hypothecate assets and what letters might have looked like stretched out when there might have been a whole word inside as it was opening up to speak what the real protection was, and how we created something that wasn't a veil but actually a very sophisticated wall of end time technology. So I'm going to leave you all on that one, because this is exactly what's happening right now. I will not wish you a good weekend because I don't enjoy calling you weak. I always say be strong. And before we do that, we're actually going to spray a little bit of energetic hygiene here, because I hear some of you all might want a love song. And we've got Archangel Gabrielle. She's here sharing messages, and she helps me pick a song from the Art of Love musical tarot deck, which is actually, we're doing cartomancy. And I'm hearing for some of you all, you need to know, if you were waiting for something to relieve you, this is the time here. Gran consolazione is coming your way. It's like the truth about the things that were on your mind, whether it was like money, your relationship, how it all comes together, how you even get recognized for this stuff. For some of you all, it's been, you've been worried. And I will just say, if anybody comes to you asking you for your old remnants and saying that, and especially if they try to tell you they're giving you permission to do something, no matter how nice and benign it sounds, I'm just hearing right now, be very, very careful, because it's unscrupulous. This is somebody that's hiding and masquerading under the light saying, give me all your stuff that has a lot of your energy and your law of attraction stuff, and I'm going to go do a blessing. And they're going to feed it to the beach because of the sea monster that washed up. Okay, they're just trying to pull themselves in. This is how it all got proven, and what the whore of Babylon never was, and where we prove that nobody ever gets to take advantage of children in a new way that we can now analyze preemptively and prevent. So some of you all, maybe that was what you got by being here with me today, but for others, this is other news that's coming to you. So I'm hearing, if you've been waiting for something, especially if it has anything to do with whatever these two trees are reminding you of right now, I'm hearing it's coming your way. All right, let's see what we can do about the music, because we've got to have a song here. Oh, and I was going to tell you a little bit about this deck. Some of you have been asking about it. This is actually a deck of poker cards. This is how I figured out how to do a lottery, where I could include everybody in the winning. What it means to be one, you know, W-O-N, like now, where we take Mondays and months and more of those and throw time away and say, how about just one? We can make it a lottery where it's like a special prescription coming from the doctor to your door that actually heals you. It's like you found something maybe better than what you thought. So I like using the poker deck of cards because these are actually used for lottery winnings too. They have lottery numbers on them. And it's an antique Italian deck. It's a special kind of greasy. Bless you, baby. All right. Bless you, my love. I'm hearing for somebody too, it's like somebody got up out of a wheelchair and they're saying it was like an early catch with MS and something that your auntie put in the stew and glucosamine chondroitin and how I'm going to get up out of this chair and come and see you. I'm hearing this. Somebody's getting their faith. Good. Walk it. Be safe on your feet. All right. So, a little bit of love. Let's find you. What do we got? There we go. I gotta turn this one down so you can hear me, but this is like one of my favorites. This is Little Pleasures by Tucky Monster and Gavin Turek. And I'm hearing tingly bits for a lot of you. This is like one of my ASMR songs that just like does that to me. And so for some of you all, it might hit you that way. Especially if you have somebody coming to you very gently that maybe doesn't say a lot. Because I'm hearing for some of y'all, this is about like people that maybe you met in a weird kind of passing where you wouldn't have known how to communicate with them because it's like the way you were set up, it was almost like a trap because the people who are watching in the situation or what people like to insist that they know about other people, especially when they don't know anything and probably shouldn't be talking. And so I'm hearing there's that nice surprise showing up again here. That's consolante sorpresa. That's like a little surprise there. And then we've got this guy that just kind of pops in sometimes named Domestico, you know? How somebody might have become a moderator and leaving a mess and ticking someone off too, I'm hearing. And for somebody else, it's about that ICO and maybe that monkey that dressed himself up in that brocade jacket trying to come in looking official. And I'm hearing for somebody, it's like a really bad relationship with the police and the military and thinking that they have a lot more say and authority with those things than they ever did and how they get taken away. Especially for trying to put a sticker on it or dress up in a jacket and just being called a shade because it's more like DC Comic Con now in every way because we've proven naturalization and that most people's identification credentials aren't worth shit, and because of the way magnets work and the law of attraction and what dark lens particle resistance is, it's like graffiti and it lifts it up like a magnet for trying to claim themselves as the form of a card that might have been a tree that was destroyed or a piece of plastic with electrons that were inconvenienced for them to hold that form. And what loyalty knows about everything. And I'm hearing for some of you all, it's like you might have found more loyalty in a tree than you did with people that were there saying, I'm here for you, take this from me. And where sometimes it's like the gift that was given is something that you had to hide and you couldn't bring out in front of other people, and what it is to have like a gift that you want to share more. And for some of you all, it's all for love. I can see the sun. I can see. I can sing a song. So we've got this guy here that sings a song and he's in love, and I'm hearing for some of you all it's like finding out that you had a guy that might have shown up in your life and you're like, I can't tell what is up with you. Are you here to help me, or are you like making sure that bad things don't happen? I can't tell if this is like loving loyalty or if it's like you want something more with me, because I feel this loving energy around you. And I'm hearing for some of y'all, you're going to find out that the loyalty is something that grew into something more, and that whatever it was that you thought was coming back to chase you or to haunt you is really going away because the love is much stronger. And so some of y'all needed to know that day. I love you so much. Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for listening to inconvenient messages about a time that really officially gets to go away. If you would like help looking at your cards in a simple way, I'm doing the 20 to 30 minute readings with that information above. I do not have the time to put into some of the forensic analysis right now because of how much data I've been sending for the FEMA internment that is now really taking a sweep, and why I live in a state of prayer here, and why my hands are up right now, and why I expressly asked for a militant order to go out with DARPA today on the coordinates that have been rounded up. And so I thank you all, for those of you especially that are here in Private Halo 8 with me, and those of you that follow me here, because this will be up on YouTube soon and I'll be premiering it. So, you know, hopefully I've talked to you by then, because it's a liftoff and we're somewhere new and we're going to hear about it more and more. Thank you to the faith for those of you that knew. And catch you again when we're back for some more. Bye for now.
Promise that you'll catch me.